welcome back to the channel. Today's a super cool video because I'm going to be giving you 10 of my top tips in order to never, ever go off plan ever again. That's slightly dramatic, but I'm definitely going to be giving you 10 top tips in order to curb cravings, resist cravings, and give you a much better chance of not going off plan. If you enjoy the video, then please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe because it really supports this tiny little channel. I love doing these videos for you, and obviously if I can grow this platform more, that's even better as well. So I'm going to go in with tip number 1, and that would be to take yourself away from the cravings. So this is quite an interesting one. It does work. If you feel like you are starting to crave sugary foods or junk food or foods that are not on your plan, then just remove yourself from the room. If you're in the office and there's food out and about and your cravings hit, remove yourself from the office, go for a walk around the block, go for a walk outside, and by the time that you come back, you will probably find that cravings actually disappeared. I know for a fact that if I distract myself with something like going on a walk or a run or get in the shower even, I can completely forget about the craving and I end up staying on plan. This brings me nicely into tip number 2, and that would be to exercise. I always find that when I exercise, I'm a lot more likely to stay on plan and want to stay on plan as well. If I've done a workout, I'm not going to come home and really want to eat junk food because I'm feeling good. I'm feeling, you know, like I'm in the mode, I'm working towards my goals, I want to stay on plan, and I'm feeling motivated and energized to cook myself a nice nutritious meal. Tip number 3, and I feel like we've all heard this one before, is water intake. You need to increase your water intake. Sometimes the body can misinterpret a hunger feeling for actually just being thirsty. One thing that I would recommend is if you are feeling hungry, you know, and it's in between meals, it's a hunger, a time where you don't really want to be hungry, then I would try and drink a glass of water or a bottle of water. This more often than not squashes the craving, satisfies the body because actually it's not hungry, it's thirsty, and you will find that craving disappears and you can get on with your day. I would always recommend drinking water, or at least drinking liquids with your meals as well. So maybe when you're cutting, your calories are a little bit lower, your meals are a little bit smaller, so that water intake's really going to just help satisfy your hunger a little bit more, make you feel a little bit fuller, and obviously we all know the benefits of staying hydrated as well. So tip number 3 would be, if you feel a craving coming on, drink some water. You'll probably be able to squish the craving really quickly. Tip number 4 is meal prep. You all know how much I preach about meal prep. I think there is zero excuse not to meal prep. Even if you're in the house all day long, obviously a lot of us are at home at the moment, so we do have easy access to a kitchen, but I still think there's potential to go wrong if we don't meal prep. I love meal prepping even when I'm at home all day, because once hunger strikes, once the cravings kick in, I can literally grab my next meal out and then I've squashed the craving, I've satisfied my hunger, and I've stayed on plan as well. So I would say meal prep. First thing in the morning, meal prep for the rest of the day. The evening before, meal prep for the next day. And as I said, once the craving strikes, once the hunger strikes, hello Monty, he's come to say hi. You come to say hi. I cannot preach meal prepping enough. It can be the difference between staying on plan and not staying on plan. As a little side note as well, I would always recommend that if you are sort of going through a cutting phase, or if you're somebody that finds that you're getting hungry through the day, then I would recommend eating smaller but more regular meals. Eating 3 big main meals through the day can often leave us feeling quite hungry in between those meals, and therefore we want to snack, and then with the snacks we end up going over our calorie intake. So I would say is a really great tool in order to combat hunger and to stop us snacking through the day is to eat smaller but more regular meals. And it's completely up to you how many meals you want to eat in the day, how you want to break your calories up. Even if you have the same meal twice in a row but just at different points in the day, that's absolutely fine as well. There's no right or wrong, it's whatever works for you. You just need to ensure that you are within that calorie intake. Tip number 5, and there's a couple of little tips that I'm just going to fire away at hydrate you within this point. And these are some really good techniques that you can use throughout the day to squash those cravings really quickly. So the first one would be to brush your teeth. So I always find that after I've had my final meal of the day, if I brush my teeth straight away, I am a lot less likely, or pretty much for sure, not going to cave and not going to eat anything more to put me out of my calorie goal. I guess one thing that comes into play is laziness. Once you brush your teeth, you're probably not going to want to brush them again. Also, brushing your teeth can leave, you know, that horrible like minty taste in your mouth, so anything that you do eat afterwards doesn't quite taste the same. So I'd say brush your teeth, that's a really good tip. Also, chewing gum, I wouldn't recommend chewing gum loads because it's not great for the lining of your stomach, but it can be a really good technique to, again, just squash a craving, can be a really good distraction, and it can also sort of trick your body into feeling like you are eating something. As I said, only pull this one out when you're desperate. I wouldn't recommend chewing loads and loads of gum, but again, a really great tip. Also, having some squash, that can always satisfy a sweet craving. Again, it goes along with the fluid intake, so having lots of fluids can make you feel fuller, especially if it's squash, it can satisfy those sweet cravings too. Another great one that I love is 0-calorie jelly. So this always comes out for me when I'm in the middle of a diet phase. 0-calorie jelly is great, again, satisfying those sugar cravings, satisfying that sweet tooth. It can make you, you know, feel like you are eating something, but it doesn't really have, I think per pot it's maybe 10 calories or so, you know, pretty good going. I know we're not all jelly lovers, but it's a really good thing to get into if you're trying to watch your calorie intake. And the last one would be coffee. So again, a little bit like the gum, I wouldn't recommend loads and loads of coffee. We want to watch our caffeine intake, but coffee's a really great appetite suppressant. It can be a really good tool to have if you feel the cravings coming on, if you feel the hunger striking in between meals. Having a coffee can normally always squish a craving. Okay, number 6 is going to be eat more protein. This is a really important one. You should be having protein in every single meal, especially the main meals like breakfast, and you also want to be having protein in your last meal of the day. This is going to help satisfy cravings. This is going to keep you fuller for longer. Protein is really important to have in each meal. If you find yourself unsatisfied after meals, if you find yourself hungry in between meals, I would say a really simple tip would be to just introduce a little bit more protein into each meal. I promise you'll start feeling fuller. Okay, number 7 is such an important one. I know the fitness industry speak a lot about this, but it's super important that I address this, and that is not to restrict certain food groups. Once you start restricting certain food groups, that's where the cravings are gonna go mad. Not restricting carbs, not restricting fat. They're the big 2, the low carb diets, the low fat diets. Just have a balanced diet and your body will love you forever. If you take that certain food group away, the minute that you introduce it back, your body is just gonna crave it and crave it and crave it. So the best thing to do is just have an all-rounded balanced diet. If you're somebody that's not too bothered, then go ahead, eat rice and chicken, but every meal of the day, that's fine. Do you do you. There is no right or wrong, but if you're somebody that is a foodie like me, you love your food, you love your sweet treats here and there, and you love experimenting with food, then you don't need to restrict certain food groups. Keep it all in. Be experimental. Be flexible with your diet. This is where flexible dieting would come into play. I can help you out with that. If you need some help, just leave a comment in the comment section below. Give me an inbox. You can still satisfy these cravings here and there with the foods that you love. As I said, the minute you take certain food groups away and you restrict yourself of certain food groups, the cravings are just going to go mad. One thing that I really like to do is to save some calories into the evening for, a few sweet treats here and there. So I actually macro calorie track. If you don't know what that is, it basically means that I have a set amount of calories that I need to hit each day in order to achieve my particular fitness goal, and I can technically eat what I want as long as it falls into the window of these calories, and I will still achieve those goals. So I always set myself back a couple of 100 calories for the evening, and this is where I can satisfy any cravings that I have. I normally have a little bit of chocolate in the evenings, and because I know that I'm having this, and because I'm not depriving my body of the sweet treats sweets that I really love, I always stay on plan, and that's a really good technique to use. If you know that you're going to be satisfying the craving in a select window of time, then you're a lot more likely to stay on plan and not feel like, oh my gosh, this is too hard, this is overwhelming, I'm never going to be able to stick to this diet, and crash and burn basically. Okay, number 8 would be to reduce stress levels. This is one that comes up in a lot of my videos, but it's one that's so relevant, it's one that's so important, and it's one that so many people aren't aware of. We're in a day and age right now where everyone is stressed, stress is everywhere, everyone seems to be stressed out to the max, but it can actually be a huge barrier to not achieving your fitness goals, and it could be a huge reason as to why you're craving these sugary sweets. If you're stressed, then you're going to put a strain on your central nervous system, your brain's not going to be functioning correctly, and you're probably going to end up making silly decisions, rash decisions, and you're probably not going to fight away those cravings because you're stressed and you're tired. So I would say stress is a really, really big one as to why you could be experiencing these cravings, but also why you can't combat these cravings because you don't have the inner strength to do it. So if you're stressed, you know, I'm not going to sit here and give you a counseling session, it's not my place to do that, but there's really good techniques that you can use, you know, meditation, getting out in the fresh air, reading, addressing the stress and why you're stressed, and trying to remove as much stress as physically possible. Stress is always going to be around us, there's no way that we can completely eradicate it from our lives, but we can definitely pick and choose, you know, what we can get rid of. It's really important to start saying no to things, stop taking on so much. We're all human, we can't do everything, so be selective. Say no to the things that really aren't a priority, and therefore you're going to have a lot less on your plate. Tip number 9 would be to have low calorie snacks, or just snacks, you know, in general that fit within your meal plan to hand at all times. So I worked in an office for a couple of months, personally the worst experience of my life, but I won't go into that, and there was always snacks in the office. There was always, you know, cake, biscuits, sweets, crisps, and it was so difficult because I was trying to diet at the time. But one thing that I found was really, really good to do was to have snacks to hand. So when these snacks came out, I could just grab my snack that fit within my calories. It was a lower calorie choice. And once I'd had that snack, I actually didn't feel like I wanted any of the rubbish that was on the table in the office. So same goes with, you know, if you're in a situation where you've got kids at home and they're having snacks throughout the day and it's setting off those cravings, always have some snacks to hand. It could be a protein shake, it could be, you know, a protein bar, it could be some nuts, it could be, you know, a piece of fruit, it could be, I don't know, I'm trying to think, like a bagel, anything, you know, whatever's on your meal plan, whatever you can fit within your calorie goal, just have a snack to hand, because once that craving hits, you can grab your snack and before you know it, you've squashed the craving. Okay, my last tip number 10 would be to ask yourself, is it really worth it? This is something that goes through my head a lot throughout the day, especially when my calories are low. Ask yourself, is it worth it? We've all got a fitness goal, we've all got a calorie goal that we need to be hitting. If we don't hit that calorie goal, we're going to go over our calorie intake and we're not going to achieve our goals, we're not going to see results. So, you know, if a craving hits, ask yourself, is it worth it? What is this going to do to my progress? Is this going to hinder my progress? The answer is probably yes. And ask yourself whether it's worth it. Is that what you really want to be doing? And the likelihood is that the answer is going to deter you away from giving into the craving. Go away, go and distract yourself, go on a walk, take a shower, exercise, have a drink, have a low calorie snack, chew some gum, brush your teeth, I don't know, whatever you need to do, go and do it, and you're probably going to squash that craving really, really quickly. But just going back to my earlier point of making sure that you've got a nice balanced diet, you'll probably find that in itself is going to help you to stop feeling these cravings all day long. I know there's nothing worse than having a craving, and it can niggle away at us all day until we give in, and then it makes us feel guilty because we've given into the craving, and then it's just this vicious cycle. But I'm really hoping that you can take away some of these points. I use them myself in everyday situations, and I really find that helps a lot. So yeah, I mean, if you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to give it a like and subscribe, and I shall see you in the next one.